Welcome to part 4 of the email writing workshop. In the previous sections, what we did was we kind of talked about the pieces of email, the sections of email. We talked about how they were outlined, what was in each part. Now we're going to talk about how you say things, the language that you use, and the tone with which you say. Two of the things that we want to think about are whether we're being direct or indirect. Generally, direct is seen as, well, less polite, and indirect is probably more polite. It's not always true. It depends on who is speaking and who is listening. Generally, though, being direct is brief. It's shorter. It only addresses the relevant points, only the essential elements of what the person wants to say, and it pays little attention to politeness. Being indirect is more wordy. Wordy means just it uses more words. You often hear more modals, more phrases that are used to soften a request or a comment. It also might include extended descriptions and explanations. So some examples of being direct. Send me all information you have on patient 1000-534. Okay, which is very quick and to the point, right? Reply to me as soon as you get this email. Give me the numbers on your recent experiments. Okay, so these things leave, don't use other information, extra words. They're just straight and to the point. This is being direct. However, being indirect, slightly different. Without me even reading these, you can see that they're longer. That's a part of being indirect. They're wordier, right? Whenever you have the time, could you send me all the information you have on patient 1000-534? I need it for a presentation tomorrow. Okay, so you see we've added things. Whenever you have the time, could you? Okay, then we give an explanation. I need it for a presentation tomorrow. This extra information is a little less direct, but it's generally seen as being more polite. Sorry to bother you. If you could reply to me as soon as possible, I would appreciate it. Okay, so we added things like sorry to bother you. If you could, I would appreciate it. Right? If it isn't too much trouble, could you give me the numbers on your recent experiments? I would like to summarize our progress for the head of the department. So again, if it isn't too much trouble, could you, right? I would like to summarize our progress for the head of the department, an explanation. Adding these extra words make it wordier. In general, it also makes it more polite, okay? And it's certainly a little less direct. So with this in mind, take a look at some of these examples and see if you can choose the correct response to the situation. So first one, you're sending an email to your boss. Which one do you think would be more appropriate? Dr. Smith, send me the notes from your meeting with the administration yesterday. I need those to complete my project today. Or B, John, would it be possible for you to send me your notes from your meeting with the administration yesterday? I need those to complete my project today. Which one do you think would be more appropriate for your boss? Why don't you pause the video now and think about that? Well, this isn't a simple answer. It kind of depends on your relationship to your boss. Generally, we think of our boss as being someone who we're more formal with, but sometimes you can be less formal. And so here, when you see Dr. Smith, you think that we're being more formal with him. But however, the email itself is rather direct, and you might not be writing that way with your boss. You might want to write something that's a little less formal, in this case though, but more polite. So sample B, I think, would probably be better if you're on a first-name basis with your boss, that is. John, would it be possible for you to send me your notes from the meeting with the administration yesterday? Would it be possible for you to do this? Okay, it's a softened response. and then an explanation. I need those to complete my project today. So between those two, the second one is a little less direct and probably would be considered a little more appropriate in this situation. Oops, sorry. Example number 2, you're sending an email to your colleague. John, I liked your presentation today on your recent research. Could you send me a copy of your presentation and references? Or, Dear John, I liked your presentation today on your recent research. I hate to bother you, but I was wondering if I could get a copy of your presentation and notes. I would really appreciate it. Why don't you pause now and think about which one would be better to send to your colleague. Well, again, it really depends upon the relationship that you have with your colleague. Now, you could have a more formal relationship or a less formal relationship, but in general, this is someone you work with, and you probably are on a first name basis with them. You really don't have to say Dear John. It's a little more formal. And you probably don't have to make a wordy request. You could make something a little bit more direct because in this situation, it's probably not a very big request. It's something that can be easily done. Okay, so again, you do have a decision, but in this situation, sample A is probably better. So, example number 3, you're sending an email to your assistant. That's someone who works for you or works under you. Sample A, send me a copy of my presentation and references from yesterday's presentation to Dr. Anderson at jananderson@university.edu. Or, Mark, could you send a copy of my presentation and references from yesterday's presentation to Dr. Anderson at janderson@university.edu. Why don't you pause and take a minute to think about it. Okay, so this is someone who works for you. Now, again, what is the relationship between you? You know, I've had some bosses who have been quite polite to me, and maybe sometimes overly polite or unnecessarily polite, and others who were quite direct and didn't really pay much attention to politeness. So, and the first one would be completely acceptable and probably rather normal. It's very direct. Send me this. Okay? There's no explanation of reason why. There's no extra information. Heck, he doesn't even put a greeting in there. Just send me this. And the second one, a little less direct. Okay? Now, this is probably a nicer way to send an email to your assistant, but I'd probably say it's a little less common. Okay. So now let's talk about our email no-nos. These are things that you shouldn't be doing in your emails. The first one is unrestrained CCing. CC means carbon copy, or it means that this is, I'm going to send this to people who are related to the project, but maybe not directly related to the project. Now, one problem is that in many organizations and with many groups, they CC everybody, and people who don't even need the email are getting this email. I know that's true in my organization as well. Only send an email to someone who really needs to see it. Okay? And that's probably not an entire department. It's probably one person within the department. Another one is non-descriptive subjects. Listen, your subject heading, you know, the subject of the email should be descriptive and brief. All right? Make sure that it describes the content of the email and the purpose of the email, but does so very in a short space. You know, probably I would guess around 5 to 7 words. You know, because you don't have a lot of space in your email client to actually see and read the whole subject. Stay away from complex font styles. A lot of people like to send these very complicated, you know, pretty emails and use complicated fonts and stationery, which is the next item. But a lot of email clients can't even see those, and sometimes they see them and they're all mixed up. Okay? Just keep basic, simple text. Complex signatures and footers. Stay away from those as well. Just give people your basic information. Don't make any pretty pictures. Unsignaled and unapproved attachments. If you put an attachment in an email, tell them you're going to send an attachment. And the last one, long URLs. You can put a long URL in an email, but there could be problems with it. Oftentimes long URLs can get broken. One thing you can use is a URL shortener. So services like tinyurl.com or bit.ly, bit.ly is a website. They make the URL shorter and more manageable. So some of the NoNo examples. Take a look at this one and tell me what the NoNo is in it. Well, one significant NoNo in here is that there's an attachment, but it's not signaled in the email. You should say that we will be, I'll send you this this document, okay? What's the email NoNo here? The NoNo here is the overly complicated signature. You don't need that. Maybe it looks pretty, but it's not necessary. NoNo Example 3, what's this? Here the NoNo is this overly long URL. You can certainly shorten this with a URL shortener to make it more manageable and understandable. So now let's move on to the must-dos. Number one, and a lot of these are just opposite of the no-nos. A descriptive subject heading, clear, concise writing, clear, simple email style, signatures, you have to have them, and reply with message history intact. That means that all of the messages that on this subject that came before should still be in the email listed below the current message. So, conclusion. Emails are written for a specific audience. Always consider that audience when you're writing your email, and that will change what you say and how you say it. Emails are written for a specific purpose. Make sure that you achieve that purpose quickly and clearly. Emails have their own etiquette. Emails are generally short. They're generally pointed. They're a little more direct often than letter writing. Okay? Well, that's it for the email writing workshop. I hope you enjoyed what I put down here. It was a little rough, but I think we got all the information out that needed to be given. Have a good day. Bye-bye.